This is your place for all things Grand Rapids Griffins and all things Toledo Walleye. This is the Hockeytown West podcast with your hosts, Brandon Cook, Nick Harrington, and Travis Foch.
Well, it's been a minute since I've done a Toledo show. Sorry, Toledo fans. I still do care about you. I haven't been on one, and I looked at you before we started recording and said, all right, who plays for this team still?
The ever-changing hockey league got Brandon big time.
It did. My travels for work and personal and just how busy we've been in Grand Rapids with everything that happens up here, I have not been able to keep track. So Travis is going to drag me through this episode, but I will give my context. I've looked at highlights. I have an idea of what happened. I saw that we were robbed of seeing a great jersey, at least on TV, because Savannah doesn't come play here. But either way, another Toledo Walleye weekly recap. Welcome back to the Hockeytown West podcast, everybody. Your source for everything Grand Rapids Griffins and Toledo Walleye hockey. And we've got a ton to go through today. We've got transactions. We've got 4 games to talk about, so we're not going to waste any time, and we're going to dive right into it. Travis, break it down for me. Who does play for this team?
Well, there's a couple things. I guess first we'll just jump into the one that broke yesterday and had, the fans in uproar, and some in uproar, some excited, some confused. But Toledo made another trade. They sent Dennis Smirnoff to Greenville for Cam Hausinger. So an interesting one, right? You lose a little bit of maybe center depth for sure, but in playmaking, but you still get a guy that's got 13 goals this year. Like Smirnoff has 15 and Cam has 13, but he brings a little bit of that edge, that sandpaper. He would have led the team if he was on the team last year in penalty minutes. So like he's not 6'5", 225, but he's not scared to play physical. He plays hard. He plays physical. He gets into it. He'll fight. Like the fans will like that. I've already seen the comments. Oh, Toledo's gonna change his style of play. Blah blah blah. Like so it's just like.
Let him play a few games first.
Can we get through the weekend first?
Like I looked at you and said, all right, who's this guy? And I said, new guy? And you said, yeah. And I was like, oh, he's not big. He goes, no, you're like, no, it's not that new guy. Oh, okay, 5'10". What'd you say? Well, he's a ball of hate. And this team needs sometimes a little ball of hate. Like, look how good Doucette did in this league, right? I considered him a little ball of hate half the time when he was out there. Granted, there's probably a little higher offensive upside to Doucette than Cam, but at the same time, we don't know. We haven't seen him play with these players. We haven't seen him in this system. All you can do is trust and hope that it's going to be a good fit. And you look at the other end on Smirnoff, yeah, it sucks to lose him. Like, great dude, great player. Sucks to lose a guy that, you can call the Iceman. Like, that sucks. That was my first reaction to you when you said the trade. I said, no, the Iceman? But at the same time, like, this trade, everything that's kind of coming together, it makes sense when you look at it big picture.
So I have a lot of thoughts, and I think it makes sense if one thing happens, and that's if Christopher Brown shows up. Like, I think you make this trade contingent on him being here for the playoffs, right?
And I don't think Pat's going to make that bet without, like, some guarantees that he knows.
Right. Yeah, that's kind of how I look at it. But I look at this in a much different perspective, right? And I want to take everybody a trip down memory lane. If you watch the NHL, you'll kind of get where I'm going with this.
Oh boy.
So in 2019, Tampa Bay went into Columbus and got broomed as the best team in the NHL, right? They broke the wins record. They had all this superb skill, and they got swept. Well, the next year, what happened? They went out and traded multiple firsts and multiple prospects for Blake Coleman and Barclay Goodrow. Like some sandpaper, some grit, some depth. Like I think they realized they had plenty of skill to get the job done. They needed other types of players to fill certain roles that maybe they didn't have within the team. And that's what I think this is. I think this is Pat saying, okay, I think we got enough like offensively skilled players. Can we find a guy out there that can still score a little bit, which Hausinger can? He's got 13 goals this year, while also bringing that edge a little bit offensively, that little bit of physicality, a little more in your face, like just a little bit different, right? And like if you look at some of these other acquisitions, which we can get into, like Van Wy, bigger body, 6'2", goes to the net hard. He plays hard. He's kind of in your face a little bit.
Yeah, like this guy so far a lot.
Yeah, hasn't fought, but like he plays hard. He's in the hard areas. He gets to those hard areas. Hausinger plays that style, not quite the size, and 6'2", he's only 5'10", but at the same time, like, he's got that ability to fight. He's got that ability to go into the corners. He's got 13 goals this year. Like, you're only losing 2 goals in the process. Like, yeah, you're losing some assists, but like, puck in the back of the net, name of the game, you're losing 2. Like, it's not, it does it hurt your center depth? Maybe a little bit, but then you look at a center they signed last week and Funk. He's 6'3", 234. Like, they're going out and getting pieces, and I think this is all starting to come together. And like, Brown isn't tiny, and he's got a lot of big game experience, or a lot of experience, right? So, but like, you're seeing like the vision of like, what do we need in Game 7 against Fort Wayne? Like that's, I think, kind of what that's how I look at it. Is like, they're building this roster. Is like, what do we need so that in Game 7 against Fort Wayne, we're the better team? That's how I look at it. Because you got to figure, barring something crazy happening, those 2 teams are going to meet, and that's not going to be a short series.
No.
Like, you're pretty much headed to that collision course, I think. Now, anything can happen. Everybody knows that. But
yeah,
you look at these additions, and I think that's kind of the more playoff style players coming into the organization.
Look, I say this probably 2 or 3 times a season so far since Pat's come here. He's not given me a reason not to trust his judgment yet. So I'm going to trust it and watch it be built and see what happens. I mean, for God's sake, the team went to the finals last year and got goalied.
Say this too, like, at first glance, this one kind of got me a little bit. I was like, what's the vision here? And then I started to think, I'm like, okay, so we're bringing in, like I said, these guys that play a little bit different style, a little bit different here, a little different there, little maybe less high-end potential skill, but a little bit more sandpaper, a little bit more in your face. I just think, like, once I started to see that, and I'm like, okay, and if Brown reports, then your centers are probably going to go Dickinson Brown or Brown Dickinson down the middle as your 1-2 punch versus Dickinson Smirnoff. So I think that this was all kind of made in a contingency that he's coming. So I'm sure there's an assurance that he is. And
you also got to look at it like this too, dude. Like, look at the team he's coming from. Like, if he has an offensive upside that's there, and you look at the team he's coming from, was he around the same caliber of players that he's going to play with here?
Like in Greenville? Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. Like, they're one of the worst teams in the league this year.
And correct me if I'm wrong, I think he had 18 goals last year with Indy. So, like, another, like, middle of the pack team when you look at teams in their divisions. Now he's on a much lower team this year, but, like, he hasn't been on one of the top premier teams in the league. So we'll see what he can do.
Yeah, you just have to wait and see and hope for the best and hope it's a good trade. Like, that's what part of trading is. You kind of just hoping for the best. You see the potential there, and you know your guys that you can put around them. And we know this group well enough to know that he's going to be welcome into the group. He's going to fit right in. They're going to make sure he's set up nice, and he's going to be set up to an opportunity where he can go out there and just play his game. And if that game has more offensive upside than what he showed this year, great, fantastic. If it's the exact amount of offensive upside with the same amount of grit he showed this year, great, fantastic. It's still a good trade.
That's how I look at it too.
Yeah, 100%. Well, on to the next one. Because
it doesn't end.
No. Transactions galore. Every episode, we have 30 minutes of transactions between this organization. Thanks, everybody.
Okay, so we'll make the last 2 quick. The other new one is Jonathan Ziski, 6'2" defenseman from Niagara University, 11 points in 32 games. We'll see kind of what happens with him.
Looks like more of a stay-at-home defenseman.
I kind of picked that up as well, so we'll see. Obviously 6'2". Is he same size as Moulton, basically? Can he replicate what he did last year down the stretch? They're about the same size, so we'll see. Maybe we'll see him this weekend. And then the other 2, real quick, Nolan Lalonde reassigned today by Cleveland, and then Jacob Truscott back to Grand Rapids. So that's
doesn't
the
hurt
news.
You guys at all.
That's the news.
That's the news. That's everything. And we can get on to the games because there's 4 of them. Because this, again, like we were talking about with the Griffins scheduling with this 3-3 this weekend, who writes these schedules where you start on a Thursday night in a random city, and then you go travel, play 2 games in another, and come back to where you started the trip? Like, what? Why?
Right.
Anyways, I digress. We got a date with the Savannah Ghost Pirates on Thursday night. What did you see in this game? Because I look at the end result and I see a 5-3 win, and I go, okay, we're back.
Well, they were already kind of back before
Well,
then.
you know what I mean.
But
Like,
you haven't been around for the Toledo shows, but
yeah, but here's the thing. Like, when you get these trips like this, it could be easy to fall off, right? You're playing a new opponent that you haven't played all
Right.
season. You don't know what to go into this, and you go in there and walk out 5-3. You could say, yeah, we're back.
yeah. So the biggest thing, they found their 5-on-5 offense. Like, that's probably the most standout thing. You look at Garrett Van Wy, 2-goal game, like, continues to just shine.
I
with
like this
team.
guy.
Yeah, I really like.
I like him a lot.
So here's my thing with this, and with Van Wy. Call me crazy, but with what he's done for this team and how he's stabilized that top line a little bit, like they found a piece that can work with them top pieces. I think I'd have made the trade 5-for-1. Like, call me crazy.
I'm not disagreeing with you.
Guys, they've
Obviously,
lost
it's a small
one
sample
game with
size,
him.
but
Like, he's played in, I think, 9 games, and they've lost 1. Like, and you could tell, like, right away, like, he's a vibe. You could see why they went out and got to him. But, yeah, 2-goal game from him, 5-on-5 scoring. They had a very fast start in this game, which is something that, at points throughout this year they've been really good with, and then there's been points where they've struggled. That was one thing. One thing for me that I did notice, I didn't love Matt in the game. He was fine, but like just a little chaos with the puck at certain times. Like one, he pretty much gifted him a goal with a turnover. But when you got a guy that plays the puck that much, sometimes that can happen. But he was good enough to win the game, and that's what matters, right? So like he gave you the saves when you needed them. But other than that, I mean, it was a great way to start the trip, and that's ultimately what you need. You're coming in hot. You got to stay in your winning ways, and you just want to keep playing well. But that's just kind of what I've seen. I thought of what we've seen from Matt, that one's probably one of the ones where it's like maybe not his best night, but he still won the game. So bravo.
yeah, I mean, goalies are going to have off nights, right? We just talked this week about Sebastian Cossa having an off night. Like, it's going to happen. As long as the offense is there to pick it up when you're having an off night, that's great. In the Griffins, we were talking about that game, they didn't have the offense to match it. And
Right.
at least Toledo did in this game. You walk away with a big win. You get goals in this game. Like you said, from Van Wy, he had 2 in this game. You had McCourt with a goal. You had Mosley with a goal. You had McCallion with a goal. Like, that's good offense there. 41 shots to 38. What a shot fest in this game, honestly. So,
Well,
even
initially thought again they were going to be on pace for 60.
yeah, dude. Like, here we that's what we like to see. We like to see when that comes with 5 goals too. Exactly.
Right. 100%.
I mean, the only thing that, is kind of crazy when you look at the shot totals of this game and you see that neither of the team's special teams were able to convert. Both had 2 opportunities, both failed to convert. Kind of strange, but outside of that, pretty standard, good way to start the trip. So heading to the next night, this one, not so pretty.
It wasn't good.
No, a 5-1 loss against South Carolina, where you texted me in the beginning of this game and said, yeah, South Carolina is the real deal.
They're a good team.
What did
They are
you
really
see
good.
that like stuck out to them being such a good team?
They're a big physical team, but they have some skill, right? And they're always one of the teams that has a lot of AHL contracts too. That's one thing that through the years they've always seemed to get a lot of help. But I just thought, it was one of those nights to where they had a slow start offensively, and they didn't really get to it until the third period. They left the first period tied, and I was like, okay, you're 0-0. But the second period was horrible. They just didn't play good at all. They had a bad second period. They gave up 4 goals in that second period. They didn't get a couple stops at times in that game in the second period. Like, you need some saves. You didn't get them. But they also had some defensive breakdowns.
I can't remember the last time they gave up 4 in a period.
It was I was like, ooh, this is
And like, you look at, like we just talked about Matt the night before, like, was this a gyro thing or was this the team thing?
I think Gyro probably wants at least 2 of them back.
Knowing him, yeah.
Knowing him, he's a gamer. But like at the same time, like a couple of them, it's like, okay, we got to be stronger defensively in front of him. Like, it's just one of those deals where they just didn't play good, right? Like, the Griffins didn't play good Saturday, right? So these
No, they did not.
teams have off nights, and like I said on the Griffin show, I'll say it again. Each team has about 5 nights a year to where it's just a clunker. It was bad, and they really only played bad the second period, but it was so bad that it got away from them, and there was no coming back from it.
So I've got to ask, looking at the score sheet, what did Moulton do in the third?
Yeah, he's kind of lucky he avoided a suspension.
What happened here? Because I look at this and I see 5 for cross-checking, 4 for roughing, and a 10-minute game misconduct listed as cross-checking. Was it just a nasty cross-check?
It was up high. Like, it was high. So it was, I was like, yeah, we might lose him for the next game. Glad we didn't. But it could have just been a frustration thing. And South Carolina, they muck it up with they were doing it the whole
you can
game.
tell what we've got: fighting, roughing. It's just, that's all the penalty minutes is basically roughing with a few cross checks and a high stick mixed in there. Like, dude,
yeah,
holy.
they're a whistle to whistle, and they're gonna cause some chaos after the whistle. They're gonna get in your face. They're gonna try to bait you into stuff, and that was the same way the next night too. But yeah, just. It's a learning experience, right, with him. He's a younger player. But, hey.
You aren't kidding, though. They like to muck it up. Like 947 penalty minutes leading that division. Second place is 782.
Right. Like, they're the most penalized team in that division, and I think they said they were second in the league. So
yes, they are. Not by much. Not by much.
Who's first? Is it Adirondack?
No, it's Idaho.
Idaho? But
yeah, Idaho's at 956 to their 947 now.
It's just how they play. Like, they played that way both nights, so they stuck to what they do. So, and much better effort the second night. I will say this: the third period, I loved the effort in the third. It was kind of one of them periods where it's like, okay, you probably lost this game, but go out there for pride's sake and get yourself some momentum going into the next game. That for me was
get a goal.
Right. Like, give yourself some sort of good juju going into the next game against these guys. But if you play that way for the whole game, it's probably not a 5-1 game is probably the biggest thing that I could take away from that third period.
I mean, I think the biggest takeaway for me from the game is just losing the special teams battle too.
Yeah, they did not play well. That was probably one of their worst games they've played in a while. And a lot of it, like I said, was just the second period. But as a whole, like, they just didn't play well. They didn't have it that night.
Yeah, that's fair. Well, at least it is a better result the next night to talk about, but we're going to hit a quick ad break before we talk about that. When we come back, we got 2 more games to talk about, give you an ECHL standings update as a couple of teams have clinched their spot in the Kelly Cup playoffs, and that's probably it. So we'll see you in a minute.
DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL, is built for the fastest game on ice. With player props, live betting, every shift, every shot, every save gives you options to get in on the game with DraftKings Sportsbook. Currently, the NHL is on an Olympic break, but right now you can bet a plus 10,000 for Moritz Seider to win the Norris Trophy, or plus 3,500 for John Gibson to win the Vezina. Pretty good odds there for our guys. New customers bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code THPN. That's code THPN to turn $5 into $300 in bonus bets if your bet wins. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. New York, call 8778-HOPE-NY. Connecticut, call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. On behalf of Boo Hill Casino in Kansas, wager tax pass-through may apply in Illinois. 21 plus in most states. Void in Ontario. Restrictions apply. Bet must win to receive bonus bets, which expire in 7 days. Minimum odds required. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio. Limited time offer. Copyright 2026 reserved.
And welcome back. All right. 2 more games to go. We got 1 more in South Carolina, and this one at least is a better result, like you said before we hit the ad break. You got a 4-3 win in a shootout, which when you look at the previous night result and you come back and bring it to a shootout, yeah, of course you want to win it in regulation. Not that really giving them a point matters because they're out of division, but you don't ever want to see it go to the shootout. But is this our first shootout win of the season?
Yeah, first one.
That's wild that it took till March to get the first one.
Very. With as much skill as the team normally has, it is a very interesting thing that they hadn't won a shootout yet. Yes.
Yeah, like you've got the human cheat code on the team. Usually that's a guarantee for one. and they win their first shootout without him in the lineup.
Right. You're on.
Anyways, what did you see in this game, and why did the result look so much better?
Just they played better the entire game. They had to stick with it at one point. They had a much better start. They had the 2 early goals, but for every goal we scored, they would respond quickly. So it was one thing that was kind of like they couldn't build on it. And then, like I said, they fell behind in the game to get down 3-2, and they get the goal, in the third period to get it square, and it gets to overtime. So at this point, like, you're feeling a lot better about yourself. You got a point, right? And it's kind of like, okay, can we win the game? And it was a chaotic overtime. If you go into it, I believe each team had a power play in overtime.
Yeah.
And it was just one of those things to where I was like, can we finally score? Because the power play has struggled since they left Troyes, like big time struggles. Like, I want to say like 3 for their last 30 struggle.
Yeah, which is unusual for this team, especially this season.
Yet they still lead the league in power play percentage. Like, which is, they went from like 31% to 28%.
must be nice.
But I think the other thing with this game is it was another one of them games to where it was real chippy. They stuck with it, and they get to the shootout, and Garrett Van Wy just Sky is becoming a very, 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 very important piece that Pat found. He gets the shootout winner. So it was one of them. It was a big bounce back game, right? They needed a better effort as a whole after the night before, especially when you play 2 periods that weren't bad, and then they had the one really bad one. But so they bounced back and they found a way. And at this point, you're like, okay, we've at least gone 500 on the trip. Like, that's how I looked at it. It was kind of those like, okay, we went 500 on the trip, because this was going to be a tough trip. Like, both teams were in the playoff race. In South Carolina, they're going to be a tough out for any matchup, whoever they play in the playoffs. But for me, it was like, how did they look in these 2 games in Charleston more so than Savannah? And yeah, you look at the 2 games and as a whole, there's 6 periods. They played 5 pretty good ones, like, as a whole. They had that second period in the first game really got away from them, but they left the first period tied at 0 in the first game, and they played with them well in the third period in the first game. And then this game, you're right there with them the whole game. So I think from an overall skill standpoint, they're a pretty even matchup between those 2 teams. Like, it was a good matchup as far as like, this is one of the better teams in the other conference. Like, how do you match up against them? And I thought for the most part, they handled themselves well.
When you look at this, like you mentioned, obviously South Carolina is going to be a tough playoff matchup for anybody. Do you think this team learned anything new about themselves that's going to be valuable heading into the playoffs from playing them?
I think they learned a little bit about themselves, and I wouldn't be surprised if that's part of the reason that the Hausinger trade happened. Maybe. You go down there, you see some more sandpaper, some more in your face, like you said in the first game. You look at all the penalty minutes, and even this one, this was still a chippy game as a whole.
Oh yeah,
maybe they looked at it as, okay, we can potentially have to make a tough decision on losing Smirnoff, but if you can get a guy like Hausinger that plays that heavier, gritty, sandpapery style, maybe this kind of went into that factor a little bit. Sometimes you don't need to put, you don't need all the offense in the world, but that's how I kind of look at it. Maybe it was a little bit of an eye-opener, like, hey, maybe we need to make a change within the lineup to something a little more in your face. But they also played pretty well and won one of the 2 in Charleston. Because I'm not going to lie, after that first game, I was like, man, tomorrow could be very interesting. Like, very. And they found a way. So that's my biggest thing with them is I think that's a game that they could look back on, that second game, that is like, okay, we went in there and showed them, like, we're not going to get punched in the mouth and do nothing about it. We're going to fight our way back into this, and they won the game.
Yeah, 100%. Sorry, this little guy wants to make an appearance on the show apparently today.
That's all right.
But maybe not. But no, that's good stuff. That's what I was hoping that you kind of learned from these measuring stick games, as we like to call them. I know most coaches, when we say measuring stick, they hate it, but that's really kind of what they are. And you do get to learn a decent amount about your team. And if that did go into making that trade, then that's great. That's showing the organization reacting to what they saw in this small sample size and this test, as you could look at it. And that's good stuff. As a fan, you should be reassured to see that, okay, they saw a gap and they're trying to close it, and here we are. So good stuff. And it is good to at least, like you said, be 500 at the trip at this point. You got one more game on the trip on a Monday night, which is so random. I forgot they were playing this game until you said something in our group, and I was like, oh, that's right. They play tonight. This is weird. But a Monday night back in Savannah, and obviously you might have poked the hornet's nest a little bit with that first win in Savannah, because they didn't really just lay down and take it this time, did they?
No, I mean, they gave him a game, right? But again, like with Matt earlier, I wouldn't say this was Gyro's best 2-game stretch, but with the first one in Charleston and then this one, but ultimately in this one, he made the extra save. He made the one save at one point in a game that was the difference, and that's what matters. They won the hockey game. He'll bounce back. Not that he was horrible, but it wasn't his best outing. I think he would probably tell you that, but he stuck with it. He found the save they needed him to make that won them the hockey game. Riley Funk.
Yeah, let's talk about this goal.
Yeah, what a play this was. Coming down off the wing, cuts the middle, gets tripped in mid-flight, and just makes a great shot to get his first professional goal. So that was awesome. And the other guy that I thought really stuck out, maybe this whole trip, is Keenan.
Yeah.
Like Keen's had a good weekend. Like, this was a big weekend for Keen's. I thought he played really well. And just like, that's another guy to where, like, if he can get going off, like if he can find that offense a little bit, that's your depth scoring that you're going to need in the playoffs, right? So that's a key guy in the penalty kill. I know, he's a big voice in that room. We know that.
He's a big voice, but it looks like he's playing healthier than I've seen him play in a long time.
He definitely is healthier. It's one of them things too, to where I think it's just he's been up the lineup at times, he's been down the lineup at times, he's had to go to the middle. Like, he's kind of been that utility guy this year. He's kind of been that plug and play. He's been, not bottom 6 role, but he's impacted the game in certain areas. You look at the penalty kill primarily. That's where he's made a lot of great work this year. But as a whole, I thought he played really well. Craggs got a penalty shot.
Yeah.
Lost the puck on the penalty shot, but a couple of minutes later made up for it with a great goal with his little play in the slot. So like, that's another guy the last couple of weeks that started to find some offense a little bit, which is they need him to get going a little bit more. Like, that's one guy to where if like I said, if Brown for whatever reason doesn't come, like, that's probably your second line center. Like, they gotta find that offense, right? So if he can keep it up, that's huge. In Savannah, the one thing in this game that they did really well, and anytime Toledo would get some offense, they'd answer. Like, it was just back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And that was one thing for me that I noticed. But you look at, like, McCallion had a great weekend as well. A couple goals. He likes playing in Savannah. Off a nice drop pass from Smirnoff. And then Dickinson with the game winner right after Savannah had tied the game. Toledo regains the lead. And it was like right away, like almost instantaneous. Yeah,
within like 20 seconds, basically, which is insane. It's beautiful to see like that. Okay, well, you tie it. Nope. You tie it. Nope. We're just going to come back and take the lead again. You do love to see that kind of fight in the third.
Yeah, like I said, so you look at it as a whole, they close out the trip getting 6 of 8 points. Like, that's
huge.
It's a great road trip. You take that any day.
Trip.
You go to the South, you're playing a division that you don't play every game like you are pretty much in your Central Division matchups. You got to find a way to go down there and find some points, and they found 6 of 8. And I'm sure it was a fun trip for the guys. Like, what's worse than South Carolina and Georgia this time of year?
No complaints there. I can
packing
guarantee
shorts
that.
is probably a nice thing.
Yeah, I think the thing I like the most about getting those 6 of 8 points is that 3 of the 4 games you didn't have your captain in the line.
Yeah, it shows they can deal with adversity, right? Like, he's a very big piece, and it's something that I think they can also hang their hat on of, like, we can do this. Like, he wasn't here, we can still do this. And then you get him back, and that's a bigger jolt. So, which he was in the lineup for the last game because, didn't get to play Friday. He's still going to play a 3-3 with traveling from Grand Rapids or from Chicago to Savannah, Georgia. So
Psychopath. I love it.
which,
Yeah, I
if you
was
want to know our
shocked to
thoughts
see him
on,
in the lineup.
yeah, I wasn't. I was, but I wasn't. Like, that's a captain move right there. That's
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
and that's a guy that, like you said, if I can, would you say, how does he say it? I get to put my skates on and play professional hockey every day. Like,
Yeah, that's the
yeah,
embodiment of the phrase that he throws around all the time, right there. That is
yeah, like
exactly
that's easy
what
to
it
get up
is.
for that.
Oh yeah,
Like, when you love it as much as he does, like,
yeah.
it's
He's
an
over
easy
there. It's
thing.
easy to get up for that. I get out of bed the wrong way, and I'm leaning over, limping around for the next week. You know, we're not the same. Clearly.
Do we have to tease something?
I mean, we probably should, depending on how fast you're going to edit it. But yes, so Saturday we're sitting down with the mayor at the Huntington Center, getting him on the show. He's overdue for an interview with us. There's so much to talk about with this season. Obviously, like the captaincy, just the season and how it's gone so far, getting the PTO in Grand Rapids. So it's going to be a lot of fun to sit down with him and chat. I'll be in the Huntington Center again on Saturday. It's been a little bit since I've been down there, but still more than someone else on this show. Nick. And yeah, I'm excited to get back down there. I'm excited that he'll talk to me. My 3-game suspension issued by him has been lifted. Excited to see him. It'll be a fun time. It's always good to get those in-person interviews. They're way better than doing them virtual. And they're kind enough to let us do them right there in the arena. So that's a super cool thing for us. So look forward to sharing that one with you guys, hopefully here pretty soon.
Yeah, we're looking forward to it. Last year was a lot of fun doing it. We got to do it a couple times with him and Jalen. Very much looking forward to that. I know he's like, it has to be here. That was one.
Yeah,
that was his one request.
That's his rule, so that's fine. We'll gladly take that rule, right? It's just the over under on how many pucks he tosses at me during practice. So
yeah, it's hard to say.
I'm gonna set it at 2, 2.5. Take the over. Trust me. Outside of that, though, man, you got the 3 stars of the week for the team. 4 games set here on the road. Who are the 3 stars?
So for the 3 stars, I got an honorable mention of Brendan McCallion with 2 goals and an assist for 3 points. But the 3 stars, like last week, it was the Crags line. This week, it was the first line. Like, Waldron got an extended look at the top line while Hawk was up in GR. I thought he played great. Had 4 assists in 4 games for the 3rd star. Garrett Van Wy gave the 2nd star. He had 4 games played. He had 2 goals, 2 assists, 4 points, and a shootout game winner. So the shootout goal doesn't count, but it does in our eyes. Then the 1st star, I mean, Dickinson, needed a weekend offensively like this. 2 goals, 4 assists, 6 points in 4 games. Like, this was kind of a very big weekend for him. And he's had a pretty good year as a whole. It's so cool for him being from Perrysburg, playing in front of your home fans and your family and your hometown, basically. So that's who I have for the 3 stars this week.
Yeah, no disagreement from me on the stars there. And it's super cool for Dickinson to be doing that. I mean, look at the season he's having. 51 points in 58 games, 19 goals, 32 assists. Like, he's having himself a season. He's only 9 points behind Hawk right now.
Yeah, and I think too with it, it's going to be one of those things like, could he get to the point per game pace by the end of the year? He's going to make a run at it if he continues to do what he did this last weekend.
I think the thing that not stands out, but shocks me the most when I look at his stats is a plus 29.
Yeah, he's having a really good plus minus year too.
Dude,
that's
an insane number.
He's a reliable 2-way center. Like, that's just, like, he's probably, I'll say it, the most important center on the team. Like not only because he's playing first line minutes, but like, when they need a big face-off taken, he's the one taking it. He basically has taken over for Trenton Bliss. Like, this is your Bliss replacement.
And the next closest in plus minus is Moulton at 16, plus 16.
Yeah.
What the plus 29, like, plus minus is not a stat that we really care about that much until you see like an outlier, whether it's negative or positive. That's a huge outlier right there. That's massive. That shows that, one, you can play a responsible 2-way game, but then you look at that and say, okay, plus 29, plus 51 points. That's insane. That's such a well-rounded player.
Yeah. So like I said, he's a 2-way center. He's taken the most important face-offs. He's come in here and been what they've needed him to be. Now can he just continue to do it down the stretch?
Yeah. That's what you hope for, but I think he can, just based on what we've seen so far. So good 3 stars of the week right there. Let's shift over to the rest of the league. Let's get a standings update, and we'll start in the South since the boys just came back from down there. In the South Division, Florida is leading that division, which I guess who's surprised anymore at this point? You know, we thought maybe this was the downfall season of them with how it started, but boy, has it turned around. They got 88 points. They locked down a playoff spot already. You got South Carolina in second, Atlanta in third, Savannah in fourth. Jacksonville, Orlando, and Greenville make up the rest of the division, with Orlando and Greenville tied down there, but that math still doesn't math for Orlando. I'll say that. That makes up the South Division there. You head over to the North. You got Wheeling leading that division still, only by 4 points, though. Maine seems to be kind of catching up here. 8-1-1 in their past 10 games. Maine's kind of been on a roll. Another scary team over in that division. Adirondack in third with Reading in fourth. You got Trois-Rivières in fifth. The Railers in sixth. Norfolk and Greensboro at the bottom 2 spots there in that division. We'll head over to the West in the Mountain Division. Kansas City has locked down a playoff spot. So those are your 2 teams that have locked down that playoff spot already. 97 points on the season so far. Just kind of unreal when you look at it. Idaho in second, Allen in third, Tahoe in fourth, who we'll see this weekend. Wichita in fifth, Utah in sixth, Rapid City and Tulsa in the bottom 2 spots there. And then we'll finish it off in the Central where the Walleye play, obviously still leading the division there with 80 points. Fort Wayne right behind them at 77 points. Indy in third at 65 points. Cincinnati has crept into that 4th spot with 61 points, but Bloomington right behind them at 60 points. Got Kalamazoo in 6th at 58 points. And then the Iowa Heartlanders not playing next season with 44 points. Sorry, that's their full team name now.
Well, so I just want to point out it's a 3-pony race for 4th again. Like, is anybody going to want it as it comes down to the wire?
No, none of them want it because they got to play Toledo in the first round. I think that's like the thing. That's why it's always nobody wants the spot, because they know they have to come to the Huntington Center in the first round.
So I'll say this. I think Cincinnati ends up getting it myself.
I want Bloomington.
You know, I've thought about this a lot. Like, I kind of want to play Kalamazoo. It's their last year.
Oh, my God.
It's their last year in that building. Like, there's been so many great rivalry games in that city.
No.
Like, why?
And, like, I'm saying no. Like, that benefits me more than anybody else on this show. And I'm saying no because I'm so sick of it's going to be them, then it's going to be Fort Wayne and Toledo, and then it's going to be Kansas City and Toledo, and it's the same damn playoffs every single year. I'm not watching the NFL. I'm watching the ECHL. Let's shake it up a little bit.
Yeah, but you guys didn't experience like the multiple years with Cincinnati. Like, I'm so sick of playing Cincy. I'm fine.
That's
with
why I
Bloomington.
want Bloomington.
I'm fine with Bloomington. Like, I'm
new
good
team,
with that.
expansion team, making it the second season. Way cooler story.
It would be. I just look at it kind of from the perspective of like, you want some nostalgia a little bit. Like, it's just kind of like,
no, I'm sold out on nostalgia right now.
Okay,
I want a new team in there.
I'm fine. I'm fine with.
And then I want Indy to handle Fort
series.
Wayne and make that matchup different too. Why not?
Yeah, I mean, well, last year Toledo had to go through the state of Indiana.
Exactly. Let's let the Battle of Indiana happen, and then we'll take the remains. Either way, that's your standings wrap up there. So wrap up the episode. What's the upcoming schedule look like? I know I mentioned as I went through the standings, we got Tahoe coming to town. That's exciting.
Yeah, 3-3 with Night Monsters, so it's going to be a lot of fun. Star Wars Night Friday, the R2-D2 kit. Some people are super stoked about it. Saturday, obviously, we'll be there. You'll be there, so that's exciting. And then Sunday's the Hooked on Fishing night, and it's Paws and Pucks. So multiple things going on this weekend.
A lot of stuff going on. It's going to be fun to see a new team.
Yeah.
Every time I've come down recently, it's been in the division, basically, except for when I came down last season for that game against Orlando. Like, I'm excited to see a new team.
Well, it's been exciting for us too, because like for the last 3 weeks we've played out of the division, so like we haven't seen.
What's that like?
Yeah, well, it's funny for the Red Wing fans, it's that dreaded March. Like for Toledo fans, the last few years, it's like, oh yay, it's March, we get to play other teams.
Oh, it's true though, because I mean, look at the Griffins schedule, man. Like,
yeah.
We got Rockford, Milwaukee, Rockford. Hey, guess what? We play Milwaukee again right after that.
Right.
It's like, dude, I'm so sick of the same teams. I shouldn't know other teams' rosters as well as I do when we cover 2 teams, and I can barely watch one of the team's games half the time, yet I still can put together who's on the other team half the time better than our own team lately.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so sick of it in the AHL. So sick of it. All right. We'll wrap this episode up there. Excited to see everyone in Toledo this weekend. If you see me in town on Saturday, feel free to say hello. Love to talk hockey with you. If you see Travis, always bother him, please, just for me. I know he does love it too, but at the same time, just pester him. Be a pest. It's fun. I shouldn't probably call that out because now it's going to happen. Sorry, buddy.
It's okay.
Before we go, though, we got to thank our sponsors of the show, DraftKings and Everything Hockey Clothing Company. When you're betting with DraftKings, use code THPN, and when you're shopping at everythinghockey.com, use code WEST to save a few bucks off your order. We also got to thank our Patreon subscribers over at patreon.com/HockeytownWest podcast. If you want to join these lovely folks, please head over there. Check out the tiers we offer. You get bonus episodes, unedited episodes, and you're automatically entered into any giveaway we do, which we'll have some giveaways coming up here very, very soon. But to thank those subscribers over there, we got Jason C., Bex, All In GR, Bert Rito, Zach, Darren Schwartz, Peter Grell, Joe Schroeder, D-Boss is D-Boss, Tyler Engels, John in Florida, Elaine Grace, Griffin, not from GR, Derek Sleazer, Lori, Allen, and Michael. Thank you all for the love and support. We appreciate it very, very much. Until we talk again next week, we'll be back with Griffins and Toledo Walleye updates next week. We will be sure to get both episodes in. We are already planning out the scheduling for it, so we'll make sure we get both out for you. Obviously, the Walleye got a 3-3 this weekend. The Griffins got a 3-3 this weekend. Absolute chaos. So much hockey coming your way, so stay tuned for those. But until then, as always, go Griffins, go Walleye, and we'll talk to y'all again soon.
Thank you for tuning in to the Hockeytown West podcast. Be sure to check us out on Twitter at HockeytownWPod and your hosts, Nick at GR Hockey Guy, Brandon at Brandon GR Hockey, and Travis at Trav in T-Town.